Alright, after a 1-week hiatus, the guide series is back, and I am excited. I just had to take care of some stuff, but today, if you didn't notice the thumbnail, title, and infantry bosun right here, we're gonna be talking about the infantry bow. Very interesting weapon. I actually, for a long time, was kind of a hater on it. I thought it was awful. But then I saw a potential in it. And if you don't know, the infantry bow crits when you're up close, so it's a bow that is more like a shotgun, almost. But yeah, it crits when you're up close and does decent damage. Never been a super strong damage dealer, but for sure it has been usable. Like, obviously I don't have like a tiering setup here, but for a while I thought it was just kind of like a mediocre-ish, C-ish, D-ish tier item. However, some tech was found with it. So, infantry bow has a very easy crit condition. You just gotta be near him. So right away, Instinct of the Master of Arms is very good with it. It's you grab whatever gear you're looking at. Let's say we want to play a tornado with it. That's a 24-second cooldown, but once we get to late game, we're taking a second off that with every single shot. However, we're not using Death Orb. We're definitely not using Death Orb, but we're probably not using Tornado either. What we are going to be using 99.95% of the time is the grapple hook. Now, the grapple hook is generally an item I don't use a lot. I generally don't think it's that efficient with what it's doing. However, with the infantry bow and a few other things, where is this stupid hook? So, inflicts 40% damage and stuns for 1 second. It's okay, but what happens is the longer you go, that damage scales incredibly high. How high? Well, let's look at the footage. And we're going to start with we'll start with the main one, actually. This is the main build that we're going to be showing off in the video. Let's go check it out against Giant. This is... oh, okay, cool. I was like, why did I have an explosive crossbow? This is all wrong. So, when we get in the Giant, let's just take a look at this damage. Get ready to go back in, idiot. So, we get the poison off. And that was 138,000 on that hit. Now, if we look at the normal hit, it's 20,000. So, that's 120,000 bonus with just the grapple hook. And this infantry bow actually has bonus to burn in oil, but right now there's no burn in oil on him. The oil was coming, or the fire was coming from this, and the oil was coming from this. The fire was coming from the carbine. So, good dodge there. Let's mute him, this idiot. This idiot being me. So if we go up here, let's take a look at the Giant's health real quick. That first shot that did 20,000 damage, did a decent chunk. Did a, nice little sizable chunk. Let's take a look at the next one. Look at that difference right there. Now when we play it in full speed, we'll see the result. That already took down a quarter of his HP. And his hand goes down instantly. And remember, this is not a poison damage in one. This is just it doing its normal damage. When we get to Hand of the King in just a minute, when we have fire going on, in fact, we can skip to Hand of the King real quick. Oh, I went to Distillery. We can skip to Hand of the King real quick. Alright, let's look at it versus Hand of the King. When we actually have the damage buff fully going. That did 180,000. So, that's with the burn oil, but generally we're not going to get burn oil. We're going to get poison. We're going to get bleed. But even with that, we're still going to be doing huge damage. Actually had a different run. It's not going to be the one I upload, but I won with the infantry bow without any synergies. It was just Hakuto plus the infantry bow, but I never got any good synergies going, so it was just doing its thing. Now, as you can see down in the bottom left here, I have a tri-bind setup. the infantry bow and the grapple hook are going to be going off at the same time almost every shot. It's pretty much like every other shot, sometimes every shot, depending on if we have to dodge out of the way by the time we roll again. And that's because of the grapple hook's low cooldown, so that combined with the infantry grenade is going to just cause a ton of damage. Now, why do we run infantry grenade? Infantry grenade, and we're usually going to be playing this on red. We'll get to some purple options in just a minute. I definitely think this is better on red, though. But infantry grenade, few reasons why we want to run that. One, it has a decent damage amount with a very low cooldown. So that means every 2 shots with those crits, we're going to be getting an infantry grenade off. And then 2, it can return arrows. That means we don't have to run ammo mutation. That means we just have a bunch of extra damage from our shots in an AoE, which helps in biomes, and it gives us our ammo back for Hand of the King and Spoiler Boss. So that's the baseline idea of the combo. What do we do to push it over the edge, though? Well, we decide on our offhand options. Now, the main one, I think, is going to be Alchemic Carbine. Alchemic Carbine lasts a very long time with its poison. If we go way up to this, it's 6 seconds of poison. You know, pretty good. That allows you to get 4 or 5 shots off in that poison. If you have the bonus to poison, like I said, in my run, if I look, let's just go to before the giant fight. I'm sure I look at it at some point during that. Come on. Let's just skip ahead, because I'm bad at videoing. Alright, so I should jump in just a second here. Sorry for the delay. If we look at my variant of it, let's see, look at it. Come on. The variant I got with it is a bonus to burn in oil. Do I really not look at it? Ah, I suck. Oh, I saw it. Let's see. It either happens here or after the load screen. Sorry for the delay on that, but okay, it was before the load screen. Come on, there we go. Sorry about that. The variant I got, the carbine left to trail flames, the bow had bonus to burn well. Generally, you're gonna look for bonus to either poison or bleed, and that's gonna kind of depend. That's gonna kind of set up how you use your offhand. If you have bonus to poison, go with a poison source. If you have bonus to bleed, use the blood sword to, and bonus to poison is going to be the most consistent, I think. But if you have bonus to bleed, use the blood sword's ability to set a 12-second dot of bleed on them, and then you're good for the boss fight with 2 swipes at most. If you have bonus to burn in oil, use a firebrands. What we don't want to use is stuff that takes up the grapple hook. So that's why we're not going to use ice shards in this, actually. This is probably the one build where ice shards makes it worse, because we don't want the ice shards taking over the priority of the grapple hook to take its damage. Another option, though, is the ice bow. I actually had another run that I failed at, but I think it's this one. Yeah, I failed at it, but if we go to the Mamatic fight that I had, let's see, because I died right after it in Still Village. If we go to this, a couple things. I moved the ice bow to the same button, but I moved it on the right. That way the infantry bow shoots off first and gets the grapple hook damage instead of the ice bow. So if we go to this, I think you could absolutely run this on the purple variant. I think it'd be very strong, actually. But look at this. Stun locks doing a bunch of damage. Super easy. And once again, stun lock, super easy. So I think the ice bow variant absolutely has merit. I'd have to try it out some more because I had an unfortunate death against some bats right away. This was an amazing death. I want to show it. So I get bounced by one, bunched by 2 more, hit by a knife. So yeah, Ice Bow I think is definitely viable. And lastly, Hakuto Bow. It's a Hakuto Bow. It's a Hakuto Bow. Boomerang could be viable. Also important, you absolutely can just run like a parry shield or a blood shield or a rampart. Any of those, anything that parries, you can totally run. Parrying will return your ammo, so you don't need to worry about the infantry grenade, though I still think it's good. But let's say you don't want to run the infantry grenade. I think you always run these two, the infantry bow and the grapple hook. And then I think carbine's gonna be your go-to, but you can swap these depending on what you want to feel. Let's say you don't want to run the infantry grenade though. What are options? Well, I got them right here. Burn in oil or poison. I can do either for you. Burn in oil and arrow return. Arrow return. I like the infantry grenade the most because it's fast, it does good damage, and it returns the arrows. These two have a longer cooldown, so they're not going to be as efficient. But if you really need that fire source, feel free to just run a magnetic grenade or a fire grenade or a flamethrower or a cleaver. And if you're on purple, you're probably not going to want to run this. You probably could, in all honesty, because the infantry bow is the main damage dealer here. But if you're on purple, you might just want to run a turret. No issue in that, or a wolf trap. And if you do that, you're going to take support. So for purple, you're going to do this, and your heal and mutation. Which one's gastronomy? I think... of course, I was looking at the completely wrong stuff. Gastronomy is the chicken leg. You either run Necro or Gastro. I prefer Necro for purple. However, in the red build, I actually ran it with Gastro, and it felt really good. Red is also has access to where is it? Soldier resistance. So this is what I run in the red build right here. Alternatively, you can do this combo for purple, this combo for red. I think this combo is really good though. You get good healing, you get eventually good bulk, you get malaise resistance. You can run ammo if you want. It's a possible one. We're gonna move these down here. These are gonna be the ones that I think you go to. These are gonna be optional. Triage and extended healing, honestly, for final bosses. Tainted Flask for final bosses. Not Berserk. Crow's Feet Disengagement for final bosses. Dead Inside for final bosses, obviously, is very good. Definitely going into the final boss, take Dead Inside over Soldier Resistance. But obviously don't take Dead Inside with Gastronomy. So, other commonly usable items. Tonic. It's Tonic. Tonic's broken. It can return arrows, and you're getting a bunch of crits off. 100% absolutely viable. Probably better, honestly. You probably run that if you really want the win with infantry bow. But Cleaver, Corrosive Cloud is very, very good right now. Definitely one of the best items in the game. Definitely viable. Biggest issue with it is that it has a long cooldown, but that's not a huge deal. You can work with it. And it's great in bosses. Ice Armor is Ice Armor. Ice Grenade is Ice Grenade. It's a grenade that if you're running on purple, you could run that, and that. And if you are doing that, if you don't want to run support, if you want to run purple without support, you probably want to just do Necro, Disengage, Crit for biomes, and then Crit, Disengage, Ammo for bosses. Unless you're doing Ammo Return, in that case you do Triage, I guess, Masochist, Dead Inside, doesn't matter really. I don't know if I made it clear enough. I think you should run it on red, but last thing to talk about. This is kind of not going to happen as often. Actually, two things to talk about. Let's talk about some dangerous enemies and bosses. Protectors, they're the worst, but they only appear in Promenade, Graveyard, and Slumberin. You can avoid them. You just have to go Arboretum into Ossuary, into Arboretum into either Momatic or Concierge into Stilt, and you'll never have to see them. But you can handle them. They're just a real annoying enemy. Spawners, you don't have a burst option always with this, but you can get through it. They're not super bad, and they're only in Ossuary, so actually they're in the new map as well, but it's not that big of a deal. If I go to the run, not this one, this one, I actually do go to the new map, so let's see how I handle it. Let's see how I handle them real quick. Find some spawners, please. As you can see there, regular enemies aren't that big of an issue for this build at all. You're one-shotting almost all of them, and the ones you aren't, you're two-shotting them. So let's see how I handle this. Alright, I have the Alchemic Carbine. So if you have a Carbine or a Firebrands, you're fine. They're not even that big of an issue. So yeah, spawners, whatever. Royal Guards could be an issue. Probably skip High Peak Castle in general. But Royal Guards could be an issue, possibly. Just play safe around them. And then lastly, the bosses. What route do we take? So for our first option, Concierge is going to be your easy one. If you just want an easy fight, Concierge is there. However, in the video I do Conjunct, and we already saw me stun walk Momatic. So I'd say all three of these are pretty viable. The Conjunct fight isn't too bad. You can check it tomorrow on my channel. If you don't know, the guide video has been switched to Tuesday, Wednesday. That's the plan going forward with it. And then second boss, I beat up Giant. I like Giant. It's an easy fight for me. Go Timekeeper if you really want. Either of them shouldn't be too hard. And then Hand of the King, I actually get a Flawless on him. You can either check that video. I've already posted it a few days ago. And it says Infantry Bow in the title. So if you really want to check, you can just go check that out. Or in the video, you'll get to see me beat him up with it. So yeah, those are the bosses. Last thing, this is kind of a gimmicky thing. This is what we're gonna do if we find colorless options. So let's say we find traditionally green only item, or a red only item while we're playing purple with this, or a purple only item while we're playing red with this. This is gonna be just kind of a fun little, what can we run with if we find it in colorless. So notable ones. If we're playing red, probably the most notable one is gonna be Tonic. But you can play that off. You can play that regardless. Same with Ice Armor. But if we're playing red, Ice Grenade as well. Giant Whistle could work. We're getting a bunch of cooldown reduction, so you could have Giant Whistle as just a massive damage dealer during boss fights. Shields, obviously. If you find a punishment, feel free to just use that as your sidearm. Even off color, you could just use a regular shield. It'd be really good. On red, some purple only items. The Tesla Coil. It's not on this, I don't think. So we're just gonna use this. No, I don't want people being like, hey, this person's saying use the Nightlight. But Tesla Coil, for sure, it would be very strong with this on either color, but if you find a colorless one on red, and that's when this comes out, Explosive Decoy, you can totally use, just up that damage even more. Other options, Vamp, you're gonna be doing really big damage, but it's a risk. It is a risk and a half to use Vamp without, like, Ice Armor. Oh, I forgot to talk about the other option. Let's say we don't want to use the grapple hook. Use the grapple hook. Let's say we don't want to use it. The other option is phaser. This is kind of the traditional other option we use with infantry bow. It's okay. It'll work. You can use open wounds if you have a bonus to bleed thing going on. Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. This is the wrong thing. No, it's not. Other options are wolf trap could be really good in red for sure. Owl. I don't like owl. I really don't like owl. Like, owl is one of my least favorite items, but it could work in red. I'd say take a shield if you can in that case, so you can parry stuff at least. A boomerang could work in red. It can work in purple as well, but maybe this colorless parent idea was a bad thing, but it's okay. Let me know. Let me know your thoughts on that as well. You can take powerful grenade, by the way. But yeah, that is the infantry bow, and we will be doing the video tomorrow for it. Still working on the thumbnail. Obviously, the one that I'm gonna be uploading with this, you've already seen it. It's bland and boring, but I like that concept of what I have there. Any feedback for it, let me know, please. Overall, this is your build right here. And that's what we're going to be showing off tomorrow, for the most part. We swapped this out for Dead Inside at the end, I think, but yeah. Bye, everyone.